no leakage. Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So I know in the last video I said that you should be expecting a dyno video of the H22 Turbo CRX, but unfortunately my tuner has rescheduled me for Wednesday, and he's gonna be here physically in California since my tuner is from Hawaii. He's actually gonna come out here to the event with us on September 30th, so he's gonna be tuning it, you know, him physically here at the dyno instead of having Geith run the car and then he remotes in from Hawaii. So that's actually better for me. That's cool to have him to be here for me to talk face to face and just work out the kinks all together rather than through the laptop or whatever the case may be. So that only means it gives me more time to kind of button up everything else. I wanted to get the fuel cell put in because I didn't want to run E85 in the stock tank on the dyno and then switch over to -6-4. But I did spend some time off to really finish this fuel cell, and here it is, the fuel neck right next to the passenger side headlight. That's all mounted up. I got one bolt there with a support bracket. I got one in the back over there with its own bracket, and then I welded a bracket right here to the front rail, then goes to a 10mm right dead center in the front of the fuel cell. Now I'm still figuring out the crash bar, which I'm going to utilize this 12mm hole. It's going to come around and then it's going to go about yay and then back that way and bolt up to the frame. Now I had to remodify this tank because I originally had it over here about another 1.5 inches out, and it was too long where I couldn't fit the bumper on, so I had to trim it in and then you know, cut it and re-weld it, then repressured the system and ensure there wasn't any leaks. Now there were a few small pinholes that I had to re-weld, but after doing this about 2 times after the initial pressure test, there was no leaks, and I painted it black. So here's my completed fuel cell, and now today I'm going to be installing the Walbro 450 on the hanger. And in my box over here I have all the PTFE lines as well as all the PTFE fittings in 6'-6" and 6'-4". Now I didn't go -8 or -6 because this car is not going to be making 700-800 horsepower. Technically the hard lines in the car would do the work just fine, but because this car sits longer than you know, any of my other cars that gets driven, I don't want the E85 to eat it out. So the PTFE, the liner inside the hose itself, it's like resistant to stick of ethanol, methanol, whatever fuel you decide to run in it. So I can let this car sit a little longer without having to start it up all the time. And again, I wanted to eliminate the tank in the back anyways. This is the reason why I wanted the fuel cell up front. So everything that I ordered here, PTFE fittings and lines, was $129 shipped from Summit Racing. And the stuff that's not going to work for me is the fitting for the top hat right here was supposed to be a -6 and not a -8. I'm not sure why I added -8 into my cart on Summit Racing, but it's a -8 line and I need a -6. So I cannot use this, and the solution for that guy is I have this steel -6 bung that I can just go ahead and, you know, flatten that out and weld a -6 on it directly, and then ideally it'll come up like this, and then the filter is going to attach right there, and then we can continue towards the fuel rail. Now the other one that's not going to work out for me is this guy right here. Is a tube adapter to -6, and it's supposed to be for 5/16, which it says on the package it is 5/16. This is 5/16, but it would not lock it into place, and I don't know why. But this guy right here, I'm not even sure what this is. It's a lot smaller, and this locks into place. This is original banjo for the AM fuel pressure regulator, but that's one of my other issues. So what I'm thinking about doing with this one is I also have another -6 steel, and I'm thinking about just cutting this off, grind it down, the galvanized part of it, and then just TIG it on all the way around, And I actually have a reducer right here which goes onto the dash 6 and then converts down to a dash 4, and then I can run my dash 4 line. Alright guys, so I lost a lot of daylight, and again, after doing all the combinations, I decided that I'm going to cut the dash 8 off the 12 by 1.25 for the top hat feed of the pump. And I had an old dash 6 line around. You can see right here, it was a 3-way T, and I cut the ends off of it, welded the dash 6 onto this fitting, and now I can thread this guy with a crush washer on top of the fuel pump hanger and have a dash 6 up top. But my buddy David's over, and there is a meet 45 minutes away from here, and I think I'm going to be taking the wagon out. So that means I'm going to continue on this car tomorrow and just hang out the rest of the night. So I'm going to clean up and unveil that car and get mobbing. Oh, this thing is probably the baddest truck out here tonight. Oh my god. It's a Datsun too. Man, I wish I could get this in the daylight, but I'm sorry guys, it's not Meal Meal. I fed him a while ago and then he took off. Alright guys, so it's a new day. I didn't really record too much last night at the meet. I was busy kind of hanging out with the boys, supporting their little meet and greet out in San Francisco, and it was just way too dark to record with the GoPro anyways, so I didn't really record much after doing the first 2 or 3 cars. It was just way too damn dark. So hung out the rest of the night, came back and parked the car, and I don't know how long she'll be there before we start driving it again. But anyways, I kind of sorted out the fittings and stuff that I need for my return line. And if you guys remember yesterday, we made this dash 6 to 12 by 1.25. Originally it had a dash 8 on it, and I ordered the wrong fitting, so I took a spare dash 6 that I already had cut and made it into this piece right here. So 12 by 125 to dash 6, and it is crooked as hell. But nonetheless, that is there with the crush washer, and that should give my feed flow to the fuel rail. And then for the return line, I decided that I'm just going to go ahead and weld the steel dash 6. And what I've done so far is I've cut the nipple off of it. I don't know if you can see, it's kind of shortened down. Here's the little nipple. And then I bored out this bung with a Harbor Freight step drill bit, triangle bit, whatever you want to call that. And then this slides over the 5/16 hard line, goes in about halfway through, right? And then now I can weld it all the way around and make this line permanently a dash 6, which then is going to be reduced down to a dash 4 like that. And then my return line is going to be a dash 4 all the way to the fuel rail. I have the dash 6 welded on right there. It's a little tricky, but I got it sealed all the way around the bung, and then the transition 6 to 4, and then the 4 PTFE fitting. Now I had to trim out this whole webbing of the radius support under the headlight, and I rounded off the corners, all the sharp edges, and I didn't fully cut all the way through here in case, like, whatever reason we put a new support on here, we still have that to weld on where the original spot welds are at. I'm not that ghetto. I'm gonna do the Walbro 450 install first. Now this is an in-tank style, and the reason why I decided to keep the stock hanger and everything is because I already have this. Like a year ago I bought it for this car, but then I took the Walbro 450 out of the red CRX and put it in here, and then this became just a spare one in the room. Pretty simple stuff here. It's the same ordeal as the stock pump, and this is the stock RT 4-wheel drive. This came out of my brother's car, and I have the install kit right here. It's got its own filter, it's got its own quick disconnect plug, and ideally what you got to do is you have to snip the stock fuel pump wires right here, and then use this connector to connect the two, and use the terminal to bolt it up to the power and the negative. Now I'm not going to snip this sucker just because whatever reason I have a spare RT plug and play fuel pump that works perfectly fine, and I actually have ring terminals that I'm just going to crimp on here, and then I'm going to slightly solder it as well, and then I'm going to just, you know, screw it back into place with the stock screws. The fuel pump itself is pretty self-explanatory. A little rubber grommet that was on the bottom of this guy goes on here, and then this sits in place here, and then, you know, obviously you're gonna have to do the wiring portion of it, cut it to length, whatever. Cut this hose to length wherever the top of the fuel pump sits to this guy. They provide the worm clamps for that, and then I do the filter last so I don't get it all dirty, you know, moving it all over the table and stuff. But I'm gonna go ahead and just put this together. Walbro 450 installed, all buttoned up with the worm clamp and power and negative cable. The thing about this pump, the filter sits the opposite direction, so I had to flip the pump around and then run without the bottom grommet, this guy right here, because the strainer inlet sits in the opposite direction as mentioned, and I just kind of stuck the hose in the back, compressed it with the zip tie so it doesn't move, it doesn't shift, it doesn't move at all. And then my own terminals for the power as well as the negative. Ideally I don't need that little plastic cover because fluid gets in between it anyway, so kind of left that with the stock pump. But pump here is all installed. I just took off the bag on the filter, and it's gonna be a little tricky to get this sucker into the baffle. I don't know if you guys can see it down there, that little square right there in the bottom of the tank. That's cut to the stock filter rectangle, but not for the Walbro. So I'm gonna have to put it in there, take a long like flathead or screwdriver or whatever I have here, and to kind of push the filter into the square so it's at the very bottom of the pan, and then we're gonna seal this sucker up, and then we'll start doing either the relay system for the Walbro 450 or build the lines, because I don't have a relay as far as I know. Alright y'all, so I'm gonna build my return line first, my dash 4, and I already did one side right here because I wanted to make sure that I knew how this goes together before I put out some type of false or correct information for you guys. So I've already measured out the other end right here, and I'm going to take you step by step on how to make this line with the PTFE fitting. Obviously I already built my other end, and I've already measured how long I need to make this line. And right here we have masking tape where I am going to cut it as straight as possible and as clean as possible, because out the box it comes like this, all compressed and, you know, pretty hard to reform it. So finding an area where it's not bent to length, you just pretty much cut it, and I'll show you in a second here. out of my pocket. Yeah. If I was buying axle for $400, I might as well buy the rear axles for this car first before I buy anything for this car. So if this car breaks down to this track, then that's done for the whole year. Because there's no track after that. Yeah. Then this car gets pushed off to the side, and the red one comes on board, and we'll get started with the whole all-wheel drive stuff. But right now is...
I don't know, Dad. I think I got this bracket. It's ready to go in. Let me check it. No, it seems to keep going back down. Let me see if this end's okay. Oh, yeah, that end looks alright. Oh, let me check the bracket again. Yeah, I think it's missing a piece over here. Damn it, it's so slippery. Oh, yep. Let me just adjust it here. Ah, there it is. Alright.
Alright guys, so I'm not sure where I left off, but I kind of fitted the headlight, trimmed it to fit the filter and the return line, and it looks like everything worked out just fine. So here we have the dash 6 installed with the filter that I removed from the cabin, as well as the dash 4 to the fuel pressure regulator. And right here, I made this a tad bit too long, so I'm gonna have to trim it tomorrow since there is no fuel in it as of right now. And once we square that tomorrow, then, you know, technically right now it's completely done. The 450 is inside, got lock washers. This is all secured, but I'm gonna have to also continue this tomorrow with the power wire for the relay to the 450 because I don't have a relay. But you know, that doesn't take much time at all. Fuel cell is installed and PTFE lines and fittings are done. Now we're ready for E85. But I am going to close out this video as of right now because got some friends over and we're about to go sushi. Because you know, if you guys watched the last video, we went 3 weeks and they closed Monday 3 weeks in a row. 4 times the charm, maybe?
They were closed all last week, so
we're going on a Sunday this time, so they better be open. With that being said, guys, we are done here, and we're close to getting this car back on the ground with a fully functional fuel cell if it turns on, and then we're going to get ready for the dyno on Wednesday. So if you guys like today's progress, definitely hit the like button. If you guys want to stick around for the dyno video, hit the subscribe button, and thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Any feelings?
When Subi is life, but you own a Honda Accord. I don't know if he wants it.